Hey, digital designers. Today we're going to look at how we can add colors and materials to your droid to give it that final finished look for our render. So far, we've been modeling your droid entirely in solid view. Okay, remember these four buttons up here control how you look at your droid. The first one is wireframe and then solid view. And solid view is just going to show it to us as flat, uncolored gray plastic. But once we start adding colors and materials, in order to see them, we actually have to turn in one of these two views, okay? Either materials preview or what we call rendered mode. First one I'm going to look at is material preview. When I click this, you're going to notice that the lighting changes on your object. And because I haven't added any materials, my droid still looks 100% just white plastic with no colors at all. But the lighting that it's getting is coming from something called an HDRI. The way that you look at your HDRI is you hit this little drop down arrow right here. And you can see that my HDR right now is this outdoor foggy scene. I'm going to pick a different one here. Let's choose the studio view. Okay. And now it's like I'm inside a dark room with just some lighting added to it. Now you can't see this HDRI unless you turn up its opacity and turn down its blur. So check this out. I'm going to turn the world opacity up. Okay. And I'm going to turn the blur down. And if I rotate around, you can see that my droid is actually sitting on like a photographic background, like you might see in photo A. Okay. Let's switch it to another one. Let's see how he looks under daylight. So I'm going to go to this daylight view right here. And you can see now he's like out in the woods. He's got full sunset light, and he's lighting up and looking pretty good. Now, if you want to turn off that HDRI, if it's too distracting, you can just come in here and turn its opacity back down to 0 and it'll disappear. But sometimes you want to see it in the environment to get a sense of how your droid is going to look in the real world. And there's lots of different HDRIs you can pick from. There's sunset, there is evening. Okay. So play around with those and see if you find one that works for you. The other way that you can see materials is if we go to fully rendered mode. That's your last option here. And that one is going to show you not only the materials you've added, but also your light sources. Okay. I added a point light to my scene and I duplicated it. So I actually have two lights right here. If you want to add a light, you just do Shift A and select light and give it a point light. And then you can lift this light up and move it wherever you want there to be some extra light on your model. Like maybe I want to light up his front belly right here. So I'll put a little bit of light down there. Okay. So all my lights are my scene. Let's add some materials. So first thing I'm going to do is click on his body, and I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. And to change any material, we're going to come over to the red beach ball icon. That's your material properties. And we're going to click new, and we're going to pick our first color. So let's say that I want my droid to be a light blue. I'll go to base color. I'm going to choose blue, and then I can fine tune it with metallic and roughness. So if I want it to be more metallic, I turn this up. Now it gets real shiny. If I want it to be less rough, I can turn this down. Now he's going to be almost like reflective, like a mirror. Or I could turn it up and get kind of a rough brushed metal, which is kind of what I'm going for here. So I like this. It looks nice and clean. I'm going to name this material by going in right here and putting light blue metal. Okay. And now it's saved that material into my list of materials right here. Okay. So I can go around my model and I can find different pieces that are going to have that light blue color. Like I know for sure his dome is going to be like a light gray, and it's going to have those blues inside these little panels. So let's zoom in on the head. I'm going to select the head icon. You can see he has no materials at the moment. So let's go ahead and give it the light blue metal. And then I said I wanted this part to be like a light gray. So I'm going to add a second material to this model. I'll click the little plus button, and you see it gives me a new material. We'll say new. I want this to be like a medium gray, and I want it to be really metallic and have a lot of roughness. And you see it's not showing up on my model yet. Okay, that's because this model has two materials and it doesn't know which one to pick from. Let me name this. We'll call this light gray metal. And what I want to do is go into edit mode now. And I'm going to go ahead and make all of his head by pressing A. I'm going to make it light gray by clicking this assign button. And now the whole head is gray metal. Okay, if I click off of it, leave edit mode, you can see I've changed it up. Back in edit mode, if I want to color these panels, I'm going to select them. So let's click number 3 to select a face. I'm going to hold down shift, grab as many panels as I can, and then I'll come over, select the light blue material and assign it. Okay, let's do that for each of these panels here. So I'm going to quickly just zip, 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 zip. Got all those panels selected. Go to light blue, assign. Okay, and you can stack as many materials in here as you want and just assign different colors to different parts of your model. Okay, so let me do one more of these. I select them all. I do, let's add a new material, for example. I'll do new. For whatever reason, this little panel is going to be yellow. So I'll push it down here and do a bright warning yellow. And I'm going to call this yellow and then assign it to that object. Okay, so this headpiece has 3 materials and they're just spaced out in different places. When you're done coloring, you can tab out of edit mode and you can see how your materials look on your droid. Okay. For any other objects that you have on there, like these panels that I created, these are all separate objects. So I can just color them separately just by selecting them, finding a material or making a material right here and assigning it. Okay. So you could do your whole droid just in solid colors if that's what you want. But if you want to create realistic textures, that's where we're going to use your Blender kit. Okay. If you haven't installed the Blender kit add-on yet, ask somebody in your row to show you how to do that. It's very, very easy. You're just going to go to Edit, Preferences. You're going to go to your add-ons and install the Blender kit download. You have to go get that from my Google Classroom. I have it in there. It looks like this, Blender Kit 3.2. And when you hit install, it will pop up. It takes a second for it to show up. And as soon as it shows up, you hit the little checkbox next to it and that activates it. Okay. I already have mine activated, so I'm good to go. So let's say that I want these to be like a shiny metal that actually looks like real metal. I'm going to go into my Blender Kit add-on here, click the materials button, and I'm going to choose shiny metal. Okay, let's see if we get some results for that. And a whole bunch of different materials come back. There's a nice shiny silver. There's a dull silver. There's a nice chrome. I like that one, so I think I'm going to use that. Let's drag this down and drop it onto that object. Give it a second to install. And it's going to show up in that model. Let me try that one more time. There we go. Okay. So now it has applied that material. You can see it's got the shine and the metallic look to it right into the model. It also has added that material to my materials list. So if I know that there's other parts that I want to have that same look, I can select that part, go over to my material, open up this little menu, and I'll find it in here. I didn't pay attention to what it's called, but I could just grab it from this list and now it drops it onto that object as well. Okay. Blender keeps track of every material that you've downloaded or added to your model. So once you've got it, you can go select whatever you need from that list here. Okay. If I want to change parts of the droid body here, like these inset panels that I make, remember I have to go into edit mode. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these panels. I think what I'll do is up here in my Blender add-on, let me go back out of edit mode real quick. Let's put in painted metal. And that'll come back with some metals that actually have paint that's been chipped away or rusted off. You can find some really cool textures in here. I like this orange a lot. So let me put this in. I'm going to go into edit mode. I've got my panel selected. I'm holding down shift and clicking on each of these. And then I'm going to drag this down and drop it on that material. Give it a second to kick in. This one's got a lot of details, so it might take a moment. Boom, it adds it to the droid body. Okay, now you can see that it put it on the entire droid because I don't have a second paint in there. So let me hit plus. Let's go add in my light blue metal. And I really want this whole body to be light blue metal. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Let's select the body here. Select all. And then assign the light blue. And then again, I'm just going to grab these pieces, grab the chipped paint and assign it just to that little object. Okay. And when I tab back out, now my model has that added in. All right. So have some fun going around really making sure that every piece looks unique. Maybe there's some shiny metal bits. Maybe there's different painted areas, and get your whole model situated in that render mode. And then as a final step, what you can do is this whole time I've been looking at this in Eevee, right? And these are my little render options right here. So I'm going to click on this and I can see it's in Eevee. Eevee gives us that kind of nice cartoony look. But check this out. If I switch my render engine to cycles and I give it a second, you can see it's slowly bringing it in to higher and higher resolution. That's going to actually show it with the most realistic materials possible. So if I zoom in on this chipped paint and I let it render for just a second, you can see it's getting more and more detail, more and more realistic. And after a couple seconds, you'll see all that surface detail that you wanted to get. Okay. Remember that cycles run slower than Eevee, so it's going to take more time. But in the end, you'll get a really realistic result. Look, it's even reflecting the blue paint color onto the other metal that's nearby. And that's an effect you can only get in cycles. Okay. So give it a shot, see what you get. And when you're done, don't forget to save frequently. Control S to save. I'd like to take a look at your droids when I get back on Monday, and we'll show you how to animate them and how to export them for our 3D printer. Have fun with this, guys, and I can't wait to see what droids you create in the next couple days. Take care.